Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
This PCR test has to be stopped. It's got to be trashed. Otherwise, we'll never get out of this mess.
Cases, cases, cases. Now, I know you've heard that word far too many times before because our public health officers are always saying it. As a matter of fact, they seem fixated on using the word as their primary explanation as to why they must force you to isolate from your loved ones, ban you from attending religious gatherings, even if you were never going to get out of your vehicle to attend them. And let's not forget, they restrict you from opening your businesses too, no matter how dedicated you've been with implementing COVID-19 safety measures. Your ability to open your business, to provide for your family can be taken away from you just like that. But why do these same bureaucrats who love to talk about cases, refuse to inform the people about the fundamental flaws of the PCR test that is almost always used to tally those cases? Is it that hard to say these 4 simple words each time they mention the numbers? Cases don't equal infections, like concerned Ontario doctors has no problem tweeting. Or why not reevaluate the PCR test after judges scrutinized it in court and determined that the PCR test is unable to be determined beyond a reasonable doubt that a positive result corresponds, in fact, to the infection of a person by the SARS-CoV-2 virus, as reported here by Portugal News. Now tell me, what do you think? What would be the point of our top political doctors continuously failing to inform the people of something so crucial to their COVID-19 restrictions? Maybe the British Medical Journal is correct in saying that science is being suppressed for political and financial gain, but whose? Certainly not the people whose businesses are going bankrupt by the new normal that was forced upon you and I. Well, we won't be suppressing a discussion about the flaws on the PCR test and the problem with the so-called COVID-19 cases. After all, here at Rebel News, we bring you the other side of the story. And since I'm not a doctor and I'm not a scientist, I sat down to interview Dr. Sucharit Bhakdi, who, among other credible achievements, was the former chair of medical microbiology at Gießen University, the former postdoctoral researcher at the Max Planck Institute in Immunobiology, and the co-author of the book Coronavirus, False Alarm. Now, he sat with me to give his opinion on the PCR tests and why they need to be trashed. Take a look.
I studied medicine, I have an MD. Then I went into microbiology and infectious diseases and became chair of medical microbiology and hygiene at the University of Mainz. So I chaired this institute for 22 years until my retirement 8 years ago. I taught the subject of infectious diseases, microbiology, virology for 30 years, and have been active in all fields, many fields, including immunology, bacteriology, virology, parasitology. That's what I've been doing, and I've also seen patients, so I've also been taking care of patients during these decades. In fact, all my life has been spent in this field.
So when we look at cases, though, one of the things that your book did explain, and I'm hoping you can touch on that today, is when we didn't know a whole bunch about this virus, when it was new to everybody, what were some of the initial problems with how cases were reported?
Good. Now, the first misunderstanding that I want to get out of the way is that this virus is not new. It was claimed to be a new virus because it's a new variant. You know, when a child is born, that child is a new human, but he's still a human. So this coronavirus had its predecessors, all right, its parents or whatever, and it is a newborn virus because it's changed a bit. But about 10 different coronaviruses, the family is called corona. And this is a new member of the coronavirus, all right? So this is something that everyone has to understand, that the first statement that was made way back in January, this is a new virus, is not really true. And immunology has now come to tell us that what I'm saying is true because it has been discovered. It was discovered, in July by several groups of immunologists and molecular virologists in the world, that our lymphocytes, which are the cells specific trained in combat against viruses, that our lymphocytes recognize the new virus because they've been trained in combat with the old coronaviruses of last year and the year before, all right? Now, the thing about this new coronavirus was the disaster that there was a PCR test developed in order to identify the new member of this family, all right? Mm. And this PCR test allegedly could say that this virus was in your body, all right? Now, this PCR test, first of all, is extremely dangerous because I liken this to an alcohol test, all right? You get into a police control, you blow into this pipe, and in Germany, if you have 0.6 per mil of alcohol, then your license is gone and you're not allowed to drive the car. Mm-hmm. If the test goes up to 0.06 or 0.0006, of course, you're not drunk and you're allowed to drive on. This PCR test, however, if it's not standardized, what it does is it's so sensitive that it will tell you, yes, you have 0.00006, and if this was an alcohol test, it would be ridiculous to take your license away. But since this PCR is just graded yes, no, positive, negative, even that test that is virtually irrelevant to anything is graded positive. Now, the second tragic thing is that right from the beginning, the WHO said that anyone with a positive PCR test is to enter the register as a COVID-19 case.
Right.
Now, COVID-19 is the name given to the severe illness caused by this new coronavirus. Although the illness was not new at all, it received a name that made it new. And this was the beginning of the big catastrophe because according to the definition of the WHO, a pandemic is the worldwide spread of a new disease. Okay.
Right.
So suddenly, anyone who carried bits and pieces of this virus in them, that was totally irrelevant. They weren't sick. They were not even infected. They just had a test done on them that was so sensitive that it would light up. And it also lights up, by the way, if you have an old coronavirus, the danger of its lighting up is also given. So now that it's autumn and winter, and all the other coronaviruses around, the flu viruses around, it also cross-reacts with this PCR. The cases go up and up and up without anyone having to be infected with the new virus at all. So that's the end of that. In fact, this PCR test has to be stopped. It's got to be trashed. Otherwise, we'll never get out of this mess.
We have seen, finally, we've seen Portugal come forward, and they had a ruling there that, like you're saying, this test, it's madness. It's not something that is reliable. And these measures shouldn't be taking place for them. So I'm hoping to see more of that. But it must be just mind-boggling for you to have all of this knowledge and see what's happening. I mean, if it's mind-boggling for me, I'm not a medical professional like that. But can you explain how the way they're testing for COVID differs from how we normally test for the influenza? Is the influenza test also as unreliable, or what are the main differences there?
No, the influenza test is okay, right? It's okay, but you don't go around testing people without symptoms for influenza. This is what you must not do. You must test those people who are ill. That's what the test can be used for, to confirm the diagnosis that you as a doctor have the suspicion of. A lab test must never be used to diagnose a disease. It must always be used as an adjunct to the diagnosis. What is happening now is that the doctors have forgotten all they learned in medicine. A doctor has the duty to look at the patient, examine him, think about what he might have and what he might not have, and then go and try to find the diagnosis with the help of the modern lab tests. Mm-hmm. So that's all there is to say. Now, you also don't go around testing anyone who comes to the ICU for influenza or the flu, if he's come to the ICU because he has a heart attack or because he had a car accident. But that's what's being done now. In all of Europe, the moment you enter the ICU, the one test that is performed is the test for this damn virus. Mm-hmm. If you would do the test for other viruses, you'd find them too. But it doesn't mean that you're ill because of the virus, okay? Wow. And so the numbers just explode. What we're seeing in Germany is something, and Austria, by the way, is something very remarkable. The number of ICU beds that are occupied remains the same all through the weeks. Oh. But the numbers of COVID-19 patients are going up and up and up and up and up. How can that be? They are replacing the others because the others happen to have a positive PCR test. I mean, this is madness.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for translating it for us, because it's not easy to come by such very, very important information. Now, where can people get your book now? I know that Amazon has taken it back or taken it off, and a fake has surfaced. If you want to clarify.
Go slow. What happened was this morning, I was curious to see how it's doing. So I looked it up in Amazon.com and Amazon Canada and Amazon UK, and lo and behold, our book that has been doing fairly well was suddenly not there anymore on the paperback, okay? Because people were asking where they can order it. And I said, oh my God, what happened? It was there yesterday, last night, and now it's not there anymore. And I scrolled down, and then I saw a fake book, also with the same title, Corona False Alarm, ? But with fake authors. So they took the first name of my wife, Karina, and the second author is plus epi something, epidemiology. And that is the book that if you look for our book, you will see on Amazon. However, our publisher, Chelsea Green, has reassured us that there must be some mistake somewhere, because this fake book was supposed to be taken down, and apparently they took down the wrong book and put up the fake book. So anyway, it's all a big mess, but it's going to be cleared up. So do go to Amazon and find out whether you can get the book there. We will do too. And if you want to order the book, just see to it that we are the authors.
Right. Well, good luck with that. I know my boss, Ezra Levant, he had a bit of a battle with Amazon for his book, China Virus, which basically is not specifically about COVID-19, but rather our Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's relationship with China and how that's putting our country at risk. But thank you so much for your time here, and I can't wait till the next interview where we're going to dive into the COVID-19 vaccine.
My pleasure.
Here at Rebel News, we bring you the other side of the story, including discussing what your provincial public health officers refuse to support our work, what we do here at Rebel News, and also to keep in touch with us in case we get canceled on YouTube or Facebook. Head to rebelnewsplus.com. You can sign up for a membership there and get exclusive content from us. We appreciate your support.